This is pug. His words. This is pug ugly. Right there in front of everybody.
So discouraging.
That's an
Like, oh,
understatement.
am I in the right profession at all?
I say it was a love hate relationship. Now you understand.
How am I
That
supposed
voice.
to
Never, never ever
girls?
lose it. Never
Yes,
ever
when we were
lose it.
girls. Maybe we should just a little. When we were girls, what were those things? I remember it was Dediola that used to. I used to. When we were in boarding school, we were kind of impoverished. I'll say we were only
Yes.
on the country and say Gary and my children call it peanuts. Gary and groundnuts. And when
Yes.
groundnuts are exhausted, I look, who can get groundnuts for me? She was a day student. Who can get groundnuts for me? Hey, because then the the food you're given in the dining is as girls growing up, you just want more food. You want more food, and then you
And
end up
more
going to your
nutrients.
cabin, go to your cabin biscuits, your provisions, and
Yep.
the one that is like the compulsory, the major provision there was Gary and sugar. Once you have Gary and sugar, oh, all your worries are over.
Yes.
And I would
Yes,
tell
they
them,
are.
can you please buy groundnut for me from town when you're coming to school? So I always remember that. Oh dear, Delia, my
Your
groundnut.
handler. It's okay. I already like she's going to put me, baby fire. She's gonna put me out there. So now I'm gonna be no longer her gist. If you just be she don't know the handler. Yes.
Speak some Mondo for us now. Come on. Oh yeah, give us some nuggets in Ondo.
Ah, well, so my late dad had he had plenty of them, and you couldn't hang around him without getting one, every sentence. But his one of his favorites, or one that I hold on to, is "Onemede Padanuiro."
Mm,
The person, which I'm sorry, which basically means you will always get at least one casualty in the war of lies.
mm,
And that is, he would always say, "Oniwebe kwong, deba mo fwe kwong." You, the one telling the lie, you know you're lying.
mm,
So his thing is, and I take it a little further, where even when you lie to yourself, you tell yourself you're not good enough, or you let, I call them the Bopsy twins, fear and doubt kind of creep in and get you to think less of yourself than you are,
mm.
then so that's one of the many. But the person you're lying to, even if they don't know, you're lying. So yeah, so there's always a casualty, at least one casualty. Yeah.
Great, great. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you very much for
Yes,
this time. I
ma'am.
really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you. So, please, viewers, like, share your daughter, your son. I want to do architecture. Let them come and listen to this awesome video. And please share, like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And let us put the word out there for our young ones to know that, yes, like Dediola said, Rashidondo said,
Me, yes, you woke with me. Call me what you want. I'm right here.
like our awesome lady here said, your voice, no, your make your voice. What did you say about making your voice known or something like? You
Yeah,
said
make your
make
voice
your
heard.
voice
Believe
heard.
in your
Yes,
voice.
Sorosoke.
Yes, sir.
That's
See,
Sorosoke syndrome.
you get me. Oti, Omayemi, you get me.
Hashtag Sorosoke. I still saw some of our girls
With the
on the
t-shirt.
trip.
Yes, I saw
Sorosoke.
that.
Okay.
Well, it is October, so yeah.
Yes.
But I would I would rather we remember that for positive side as well. So
Mm,
definitely, yes, exactly. Sorosuke.
yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
Don't be
Sorosoke.
afraid. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I
My
appreciate you once
pleasure.
again.
I
Um,
appreciate you too. Thank you.
Love
Thank you, Bunmi, for having
to
me.
the kings and princes around you. Um, love to them all. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
In a male-dominated area, how do you cope? Because I know there will be some I don't want to say bullies, but
Well, that is what they are. That no, hey, call it like you see it. The truth
okay.
shall set us all free. Um, that goes back to the whole finding your voice
Mm,
thing that, and not just finding it, but listening. How many times you tell me that? How many times? Like, wait, that voice will come and you're like, okay,
mm,
we'll do that tomorrow. We'll do that later.
mhm.
Our madam. Because like I called them, I said they're the Bobbsey twins, fear and doubt.
Mm,
You will find me personally, I will find that excuse to just not do that.
mm.
Speaking of, you know, dealing with bullies, it's not
Yes.
even just within the career,
Mm.
within uni.
Really?
Even yes, even first of all, architecture, we started off with I think like 100 people. By the time I graduated, it's a 5 year course. It's very
Mm,
condensed,
mm,
and which is good because generally you do 4 years, you get a bachelor's of arts or something, and then you now do 2 or 3 more.
oh, okay.
Exactly. So yeah, but with Howard, it was condensed into 5 years, and when you graduated with bachelor's of architecture. So
Mm,
like you were sort of well on your way with it. But yeah, even in college, second year, part of the, I had an idea
mm,
in my mind for a design, and our assignment, I still remember the design assignment. We were to design. It was a landscape project, so we were to design a garden. And what I liked about how they assigned it to us, we would always go out. So Howard is in Washington D.C.
yeah.
and I call Washington the subdued version of New York. So we would ask you to be assigned a space or lot and design a garden right there. In my head, I knew what this garden would look like. I
Mm,
wanted that sort of dichotomy, if you will, of the concrete jungle of DC, but also that softer, the green, the lush. So it was up here. Keep in mind, this is second year, no background whatsoever. It was up
mm,
here. Putting it down was a whole nother situation. In my
mm,
mind, I thought I did. And so first year, like I'm very, creative process. So
yeah.
you're already used to presenting um,
Mm,
your work, and the goal is always to communicate your design, to communicate to your clients, and all that. So anyway, second year presented, and my professor says to me, Rashida, this is pug. His words. This is pug ugly. Right there in front of everybody.
so discouraging.
That's an
Like, oh, am
understatement.
I in the right profession at all?
I say it was a love hate relationship. Now you understand. So, of course, what is this? 19 is 19-year-old, and you're in front of everybody. And
Mm,
I was like, yeah, that's it. You was wrong. You done did it now. So when he said that, I was like, but, it's here, but it's up here. And so from that moment, it wasn't until recently, from that moment on, whatever I would design, it was always in black and white. And you
oh,
never realize that. I didn't realize that. That was what I was carrying with me. Every time I would design for clients, up
mm,
until a couple of years ago, I would never ascribe color to it. I would just provide you the design. I will plan your space, and I'm done.
mm.
Tó bá ti wẹ̀ kó fi lime green
Yellow.
carpet síbẹ̀, kó paint àgbálùmọ̀ orange. But it wasn't until, like I said, recently, like, what is it with you in color? And also in how I dressed, it would just be just monochromatic, because what that said to me at the time was, oh, you suck at color.
Mm,
And again, that's where that voice comes in to tell you, no, you do not suck. But of
mm.
course, as teenagers,
Yes.
we're taking
Mm,
the final one for me was, and he's passed away now, God rest his soul, but was fifth year for thesis. again, I grew up in Akure. Went to school in Akure. So there was a plot of land. There was a piece of land not too far from where our house was. And for my thesis, I said I wanted a youth center, a youth community center. And this youth community center was not just going to be for the youngins, but also for our elderly. I don't know if you've ever been in a room with a really young person and, our elders. There's just this connection that it's just, I can't explain it. So, anyway, that was my thesis. Designed it. My poor dad had him running around town planning to get he sent it over. So I'm excited, like, even if I don't build it someday, actually in my mind, I said someday I would build this, and maybe my kids, maybe the neighborhood kids, whatever. So my professor comes along. He takes a look at what was my sketch at that time. And he says to me, well, that's not African architecture. Okay. What is African architecture? And he promised me, he said the next time we had our design class, he was going to bring me examples of what African architecture looks like.
Was that the topic of your thesis? Did you specifically say African?
No, I just said where it was. I just said where the project was going to be, and in Akure. And so for us, it's slightly different. You have the drawings, you have the study model, and all of that. Less writing, more visual is how we did our thesis. So true to his words, next design class, he brings a few copies of the National Geographic. Now, keep in mind, this was 1999. So Google it. So he brought actual magazines, right? And so he brought National Geographic, and he opens the pages that he's marked, and he proceeds to show me Navajo huts. So Navajos are American Indians, indigenous Americans, and he shows me these red clay huts. I promise you, not even bricks. These were huts. I'll let you guess.
In 1999, not 1614 or something.
No, ma'am. Nope. In 1999, because Howard is it's an HBCU, it's a historically Black college. So you come to me, a Nigerian. Okay, you know what? Forget I'm Nigerian. Forget that I'm Nigerian American. You come to be a Black student in a Black college, and you tell me that is what you believe African architecture to be. And I look at it. I look at him.
Has he been to Africa? Or what you see on TV? That's one misconception. People say see things on TV. What you see
on what you see on the exactly.
And they're like, what Africa must be like.
And I looked at him, and as we say back home, hand can they scratch me? So like, no, say no to violence. But I looked at him. I wasn't particularly angry. Like when I relate this story to others, they're like, "Oh, you must have." I wasn't angry. I was sad. I was surprised.
Yes,
because you're my professor.
Should know better.
Thank you. And he was very matter of factly when he was talking to me about it, and I'm looking at it like. Even Akure, that is, we don't even
those kind of buildings anymore. You may have them, in some African countries,
in some areas, and there's nothing wrong with it. But for you to
generalize it like a stereotype,
So I looked at him, and this is where the voice that I was talking about comes into play. And I said, okay. I remember saying okay, and I said, well, yeah. But this is also African architecture. This is, as a matter of fact, I don't have African architecture. I don't feel there's African
One,
architecture.
yes, true.
Right. And so I told him, I said, okay. And I remember the words okay and thank you. I remember
Mm.
saying that to him. And I said, but, I'm, thank you. I'm going to go with this.
Exactly.
Because in my mind, till this day, I know what that building looks like. The
Mm.
color, the entrance, everything, the tree, because there was going to be this big tree where the older folks can sit and just share stories. I in my mind what this project looked like. And he just came with that, and Ode Dabaru Bugwe. So I was like, well, thank you. And coming from from where we come from, your teachers are
Yeah.
your demigods. So it was like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it, but I think I'm gonna stick with this.
Mm.
And he was insulted by that, and so he reminded me in a very subtle manner that my overall grade, now this is thesis, so this
Mm.
is 6 credit
Yeah.
hours, and he told me, well, I have 60% of your grade.
I have the final say.
And once he said that, I cried. When I got back to my dorm room, I cried. And I said, okay, well, here's 60% of my grade, though. So, yeah, bring, be smart about this.
Mm.
So I packed up everything my dad had, the surveyor's plat, all of that. I packed those aside. And he specifically told me the building should be rectilinear. That was it. Nothing aesthetically
Fancy.
pleasing about
Mm.
it, because that
It's
is what
Africa.
African architecture. How dare you? And
Mm.
so I struggled. My thesis presentation was April 19th. As of February, I was still struggling
Wow.
with his design because it's not mine.
Yeah.
I could not place it. So there was this day, and pardon me, don't mean to get religious, but I just got frustrated. And I
Mm.
said, God, I'm going to graduate.
Mm.
I don't know how, because if I, if I'm struggling with thesis, that's the defining project.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so I go out. I was just sitting out, and one of my mentors, she's also a professor at Howard, and by the time she passed away, she had made partner in one of the top 3 Black-owned architectural firms in the country.
Mm.
Professor Lori. So she walks out, and at that point, everybody's always asked, how's your thesis coming? Because we all know, everybody knows. And so when she asked me, and I just blurted out what happened. Up until that point, I didn't say anything to anybody because I didn't know quite how to process that.
Mm.
Is this man telling me that because it's Africa, we deserve less? But now I can articulate that. So anyway, I blurred out the whole story to Professor Lori, and she kept quiet. She allowed me finish, and she was like, so, Rashida, when you present your thesis, so we go on stage when you present your thesis, he's not going to be on stage with you.
Mm.
Nobody is going to be on stage. Your thesis is accumulation of what you have learned these past 5 years.
Mm.
And I'll never forget it. She said, so when you go, sorry.
Getting emotional.
Yeah, because she
Yeah.
passed away, but
Yeah.
it applied to the thesis, but it also applies to life. She said, when
Mm.
you get on that stage, make sure the real you, all
Mm.
of you, gets on that stage. She said,
Mm.
because here's the thing, you already have 3 strikes against you in architecture.
Yeah.
You're Black,
Mm.
and you're a woman.
Mm.
And before I could ask her what's the third word, she said, you're a Black woman. 3 strikes. I was like, okay. She's like, so the one thing you have going for you is to
Mm.
be
Yes, sir.
true to yourself.
Mm.
Girl, when she said that, in fact, I was charged. Went
Mm.
right back into the studio. Remember, I had packed everything. I put it neatly in
Mm.
the box. Like, I don't know, maybe somewhere in the future I'll be able to. Brought everything back, my
Yes, sir.
sketches, my study
Mm-hmm.
model. Yeah, so my
Mm-hmm.
everything. And that day happened to be design. I had design that day because I was really struggling. I would cry because I couldn't, this is not my vision.
Mm.
So I brought everything back out. The sketch, the study models, the sketches, everything. And so my professor comes in, Professor Jaden, he comes in for design that afternoon, and he sees me
So,
working on my design. And when I say I was sweating bullets, because I was, you come from Niger now, and the professors are quick to tell you, get out of my class. So I was really waiting for it following me, get out of my class. Story for another day. So he comes in, he takes a look, doesn't say a word. He's gone red in the
mm,
face, like,
mm,
oh, worry, type of thing. And I was like, oh my God, this man is so gonna fail me, in this course. Again, that voice, just keep going. You'll be
mm,
fine. Just keep
mm.
going. And so that's what I did. I worked on that. So when it was time to present, I was able to speak to it. I was able
Yeah.
to answer questions being asked from the panel.
Mm.
Throughout my presentation, he did not say a word. After my presentation, and I got, this very, very good project. I like, how you tied everything, and I was getting the
Mm. Oh,
accolades, as they say. Yes, yes, yes. And I mentioned to Rashid, and I'm looking like, wow. Honestly, you're Leo. No, honestly. Because any don't pala correlate. Like, success has so many friends. This man steps up
Mm,
and is, oh
mm.
yeah, I encouraged her, and I'm like,
No.
man, you're like, when did you encourage me? And
Oh.
still, he gave me a D.
A D.
A D. The only way that I passed that course was because everyone else on the panel gave me A plus.
Mm.
I had an A minus, and that
Wow.
was because of how I sketched. It was an inside joke with the professor who gave me the A minus, but everyone else, A.
Ah.
He gave me a D. So that was what bumped me up to a C. There's no way he could control that because
Mm.
some of them were guest panels,
Yeah.
panel judges. So there's no way he could control that.
What
And
they.
so, that's how I got a C. And I graduated.
Wow. That's a
So
good
always, yep, always
victory.
people are gonna test you in this
Mm.
industry. It's a we call it the good old boys industry. There's
Mm.
still have we even made it to 10% of licensed female architects in the
Wow.
country?
Wow.
So I'm coming from Nigeria, where it's already an interesting feat to be a
Yes.
woman, to be a
Mm.
girl, and then you come, outside of Nigeria, and so yeah, when you say make sure you find your voice, and it's
Yeah.
always there. We just need to listen. I'd
Mm-hmm.
be like, my guardian angel be working overtime. Like, oh Lord, I promise, dear. I promise, Lord. I had. She just cooking. Wow. Can I just change my shift, please? Just tell me. I'd be feeling sorry for my guardian angel. So it's like, I promise I'll do it tomorrow. Don't worry, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. But yeah, it can be hard. It can be
Wow.
hard, not just
Mm.
education wise, but even in the career. And you know the story with take good sweetheart. I was like, that is
Yeah.
sweetheart, yeah. So I forgot that part. I forgot I was in a professional, so I'm like, who's your sweetheart? So it's been a very
Yeah.
interesting ride. You get sketches on walls, and you have bananas left on your desk. This thing
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy eating bananas.
Whoa.
Oh wow, a banana, thank you, and I'll eat the banana. I don't know what it's supposed to mean. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I figure somebody's being nice, and
Yeah.
I refuse to
Well.
acknowledge the race
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
I just refuse.
Mm.
And it's helped to stay
Yes.
focused.
Yes. True.
There's so many scenarios. You walk into the room for an
Mm.
interview, and the
Mm.
moment they see you is like, wow, and they cannot hide the fact that
The three things that stand against you: a black
right, you're
woman and a black woman.
and a black woman. Yeah, she's not quite what we thought. And You will know this. You can't be that naive not to know that that is an issue. The way the questions are framed certainly becomes different during the interview. And then of course you get that glorious, we'll call you,
Yeah.
we'll be contacting you. Most times I'll get an email, other times nothing at all. And I'm not going to hold it and say, oh, it's because I'm black. I didn't even know I was black till I came to this country. So what did you know you were black till you went to England? I didn't know. From the I didn't know I was black till I came to this country, because everywhere I looked in Nigeria, everybody looked like me.
Yeah.
Yes, I had a handful of biracial friends. I had a handful of, friends who, either their parents were from other nationalities, but it wasn't until coming here, what do you mean black? What do you mean? Of course, it's human nature. You face biases one way or the other, but we didn't face racial biases back home. So being introduced to that here, I've been called the N-word. I've been called the N-word on a construction site before. And it didn't really
Yeah.
sink in. So Koramigba, and I think that even made him angrier. Like when I called it, because I didn't
Yeah.
focus on that. What I focused on is, look, this is what's in the contract. This is what you're contractually obligated to do for this project. And I guess me being called the N-word was supposed to
Yeah.
derail me. I was
Off
supposed to get
balance.
upset.
Yeah.
I just looked at him. I couldn't, and I wasn't trying to be, I just couldn't process it in my head. Like, so what am I supposed to run to my pink bathroom and cry? Like, what? I don't understand. I'm not understanding, sir. Me. And he got so upset with me. Like, why is she not reacting when I called her the N-word? The contract. That's all I care about. So it's just so many different scenarios. And again, back to just being, honest with yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and tell you, oh, Aki's fun. It's a lot of fun because it tests limits for you, especially when you're creating. It could be something
Yes.
as simple. First of all, design never ends, by the way. For all you kids out there, design never ends. But it just helps you to push boundaries, if you will. But to say that there won't be, oh honey, the stories. If you got two, not even two black women, just get one black woman, a white woman, Asian, and just a bunch of women who are in the architectural field. I promise you, we might speak different languages, but the challenges are still the same. Being reminded that you don't belong, and you telling yourself, no, I'm where I need to be, and I will show you. I will prosper. And that's
Having
that voice. Yeah.
having to constantly prove yourself. That is,
Yes.
yeah. Wow.
And even when you do, being
Mm.
told,
It's not
nah,
good
that's
enough.
not you. Nah,
Or it's not good
no, even
enough.
if you come out yourself, very good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That is, it's actually good a little bit. It's
Mm.
just not good enough.
Mm.
Good. No,
Mm.
that's
Wow.
not. I just and those of me African architecture cannot be, and it wasn't some monstrosity. I didn't design a spaceship, but it had curves to it,
Mm.
and that comes from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, the belief system was um
Nothing
uh
can come out of Africa. It was too posh to.
exactly. But when we used that's why if you see the huts, they're
Mhm.
usually
Yes.
cylindrical in shape.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
belief is corners, that
Mm.
bad energy, evil spirits lurk in corners. But when you
Oh.
have
Yeah.
Thank you. But when
Oh.
you have
Oh.
curves and you have sweeping walls, there's nowhere for any,
Mm.
evil spirit or bad energy to lurk. That's us. That
Okay.
was the belief. That's one of the things I mentioned during my presentation. Wow, like that. And oh yeah, that's one of the things he claimed credit for.
Ready for
I'm wondering, maybe can I slap him after I graduate? Like by then I would have graduated. What are they gonna do? They're gonna take my diploma, you know. But yeah, so it's you will be told many times,
Mm.
not that you're not even good enough. Telling you you're not good enough means they actually see you.
This is a bit of goodness. Mm.
You will be invincible. You will be told that you're not invincible. That you're not visible. That you're not. Oh, tienshare. Like they would say, you're
Mm.
not it. You
Mm.
are it. As a matter of fact, you are magic. You know, you are just amazing, and you
Mm.
have to continue to tell yourself that
Yeah.
because nobody's
Yeah.
going to tell it for you.
Mm.
Nobody.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, spent so much time. Thank you. Thank you. Let me let you go. Let me let you go. I know you've got so much. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you. Thank you
ma'am.
for the time. It was
I'm
really
getting
a
side
blessing.
eyes now.
Oh, okay. Okay. A blessing talking to you. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, you're good enough. Don't ever let anybody tell you different. You're
Yeah.
even better.
You're
You're
better than,
best.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You're the
Yeah.
best. Yes. Thank you.
My
Right.
pleasure.
Cheerio. Bye bye.